I used to hate that house. The old wooden floor that creaked with every step, the peeling paint on the porch, and the smell of cinnamon that always clung to the curtains no matter how many times I washed them. It was my mother's house, not mine. At least, that's what I told myself for years. When I turned 18, I swore I would never come back. I wanted the city, the noise, the lights, everything that wasn't quiet, everything that didn't remind me of her. Mom used to stand by the window every evening, waiting for me to come home from school. She'd wave, even when I was too embarrassed to wave back. I remember shouting once, "Stop doing that, Mom. People can see you." She just smiled and said, "One day, you'll miss me waving." I didn't understand what she meant until the day she stopped waiting. It was a cold winter morning when I got the call. A neighbor told me she'd found my mother in the kitchen, collapsed beside the stove, the smell of bread still in the air. I hadn't spoken to her in 6 months, 6 months of unread messages. And now, silence was all I had left. When I walked back into that house, everything felt smaller. The walls looked closer. The clock still ticked in the same rhythm, steady, patient, forgiving. Her slippers were still by the door. A half-finished crossword lay on the table, and for the first time I realized this house had never been just hers. It had always been ours. I found her voice everywhere. In the drawers folded between old recipe cards, in the garden where her hands had turned soil into flowers, even in the broken clock she never threw away. That first night, I slept in her bed. The sheets smelled like lavender, her favorite. I cried into the pillow, the same pillow she must have rested her head on the night before she died. I remember whispering, "Why didn't I come sooner?" The next morning, I made coffee. Her old kettle squealed the way it always did, and I almost heard her voice say, "Don't forget the sugar, honey." That's when I realized home isn't walls or furniture. It's the sound of someone remembering how you like your coffee. It's the echo of laughter down an empty hallway. It's the smell of cinnamon that never fades. I spent days cleaning, organizing, crying. Every object had a story I'd ignored for years. The chipped mug she always used. The scarf she knitted for me, even though I never wore it. And the photograph. The one of us on the porch, me frowning, her smiling. I stared at that picture for a long time. Her hand was on my shoulder, and even though I'd rolled my eyes that day, I could see it now, the pride in her eyes, the kind that says, "You're already enough." And that's when the guilt began to fade slowly, like snow melting on the windowsill. Because I finally understood what she'd been trying to teach me. Home isn't where you live, it's where you're loved. A year later, I moved back into that same house. I fixed the porch, repainted the walls, but I left the smell of cinnamon exactly as it was. Sometimes, when the light hits the window just right, I see her reflection there, smiling, waiting. I wave back now. Every single morning, I talk to her when I make coffee. I tell her about my day, about the neighbors, about how quiet the nights are without her voice. And I think she hears me because somehow this house doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels like home, the one she built, but with love, patience, and 1,000 small goodbyes. Some people only understand the word home after it's gone. I was one of them. You don't lose a home when someone dies. You carry it every time you remember how they loved you.